Kia ora, Helen Brahms here, coming to you live from Colorado Springs on a absolutely super fantastic, sparkling Friday. And I am super stoked today because I get to introduce everybody to my dearest friend and mentor, Casey Eberhart. So, Casey, thank you for being on today for such this monumentous occasion. How are you?
I am so super fantastic and sparkling. I can hardly even stand it. I mean, anytime you get a chance to hang out with the Helen, you have to take advantage of it. Helen, it is truly an honor, and I know that I get to celebrate you today. I know we haven't even told everybody why I get to celebrate you, but today is a big, big day for you, a big, big celebration, and I don't get speechless very often. I don't get emotional very often, but I have been really excited about this particular live for, well, I can tell you for how long, 366 days. And I'm going to let you say why, but culmination of a job very, very, very well done.
Well, it was in July last year, and I'm going to put this across the bottom of the screen, that Casey challenged me to do one Facebook Live a day for a year. And I said, okay. Then I realized that 2020 was a leap year, so I actually had an extra day thrown in. Sneaky. So I actually started, the start date was August the 1st, 2019, and it was the day that my parents were over here from New Zealand, and we started a 3,227-mile road trip in 27 days. First time doing a major road trip in an RV. So we learned a lot during that time, including that drive times on Google Maps are different to drive times in RVs.
Yes.
But it was great because Casey had issued me with this challenge, and it was the perfect time to start as we explored different places around, let's say we went to Nevada, Utah, Idaho, Washington, British Columbia, Oregon, and Northern California. So Casey, why the challenge?
Yeah. So look, here's the thing, Helen. As a business owner, we learn new things and new skill sets. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that is really important for businesses to understand and really get, especially the smaller the business, the more important live video really is. And so the reason I issued you the challenge was simply because, number one, I knew I could count on you to accept it. And number two, it was really to improve your skill set. And look where we are a year later. Mm-hmm. You're doing lives every day. You're being asked to be on lives every day. You are sharing your message of traveling around the country every day. We all know about your puppy. We all know when the puppy has a good day, a bad day. We know about your new genealogy business that is fantastic. And because you've taken a year to allow us to get to know you, because you've got this new genealogy business, we already are set knowing the beginnings of what you have created. And so if I go back and I look at August 1 of 2019 at that very first video, and I look at what you are doing today, the difference is a massive gap. Mm-hmm. And most business owners are terrified to commit to doing something for a year.
Absolutely. I've seen it.
It's just oh, I'm so busy not being busy. I'm so busy not making any money in my business. I'm so busy just saying I'm busy. And they can't commit to one small 10 to 15 minute thing to grow their business, their audience, or their skill set every single day. And you did it. And Helen, it is such a testament to who you are as a person. I know over the course of the last few years, there have been some major transitions. Yeah. There have been some major excitements. There have been some major adventures. There have been some mishaps. There's been a new puppy come into your life. But at the end of the day, you stuck to your commitment. And what that really proves to the marketplace is that you are not only accountable to me, frankly, right? She has to be. Right? But you are also count-onable. Mm-hmm. And when customers find businesses, brands, communities, connections that are count-onable, it increases the trust ability of that customer to that brand. And so really what you've been able to do over the course of the last year is build that trust, build that brand. You've been very vulnerable. You've been very integrous. You've been very on purpose. You've been very happy. You've been maybe one shade, half step below happy on a couple of occasions, right? But
not as sparkly as normal on some occasions.
Yeah, once in a while the sparkle just, it's just the light's been a little dim on it.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, Helen, it is truly awesome in the bigness of that word, if you will, the enormity of that word, in the shift that you and your business and ultimately the customers you serve have had going through this experience with you, right? It's just been awesome.
I have to tell you, I have had so much fun with this challenge, and I thank you for challenging me to do it. I didn't think I could do it. When you first said a year, I went, yeah, okay. Right, Richard Branson says, say yes, then figure it out, which is exactly what I did. It was sort of like, oh crap, I just committed to doing a year of Facebook Lives. Oh dear. And I can tell you there were some days where I did 3 or 4 lives a day. And the 17th of March this year, I started doing 2 a day because I got fed up with the negativity coming through on my Facebook feed and decided I got to do something about it. So we started doing the morning ones as well. So there's well over 366 videos that got done in the last.
Let me ask you just from a business perspective. What did you get out of the experience? What did you learn about either yourself, about technology, about who you are, who shows up? What are your takeaways from this past year?
Some of my takeaways is that I did have to learn technology. I didn't have Brad to rely on because he was my technical guru. I used to be able to go to him and say, here, fix this. I couldn't do that. I had to learn it on my own. So becoming proficient with doing Facebook Lives. And then when Facebook went and changed everything, it went to phone only because I couldn't get the Facebook Live on the computer to work correctly. And I still remember there's some nights that I'm sitting there going, it's not ending. It's not ending. And of course, it's all being broadcast live, and things happen when you're on live. You forget things. Stuff happens. The dog goes and does something crazy when you're in the middle of doing something. You just adapt, you change, and you carry on. And the fact that I was able to go through and do some of those changes, and then coming up with different themes like, November I made it James Bond month. So I was talking about James Bond movies every night. And then, doing the different road trips, talking about the new campgrounds that I'm in. Even on Zeffy's page, we've got Facebook Lives from some of the different dog parks we've encountered. So having to get into that mindset, I'm still learning to get into that mindset of doing reviews and stuff, but that's going to come over the next year because I'm going to keep doing this. I'm having such a blast doing it. And yes, there were days that I cursed you because I had to do it. Because I know
I have the text messages to prove it.
Yes, I know you do. But it has been such an enriching experience, and allowing myself to be vulnerable on camera, especially when I've been talking about some of the memories and some of the tough times that I have been through, and allowing myself to be vulnerable in front of strangers has been a huge lesson. That we are who we are. We go through things. We're not always super fantastic and sparkling. We're just sometimes a level below that. So it's been a very rewarding and enriching experience. So thank you very much for the challenge.
Well, and Helen, what the other thing that, and I'm just watching the comments here, and I think it's really a true testament to who you are as a person, is you're allowing us to get to know you. Mm-hmm. And a part of the journey. And what's great about your journey that you're on right now is there are tons and tons of folks that go, oh my gosh, what I wouldn't give to lock the door, walk out the door, jump in an RV and tour around and adventure my way through this country and go meet friends and meet the people that I see in these Facebook Lives and come to you from different dog parks. And you have so much of what people aspire to and what it motivates them to do. And I think it really provides an opportunity for folks to get to know somebody that's on the ground, that's been there, done that, and is out doing it. It's absolutely a phenomenal experience to be able to be a witness to, right?
Yeah. Sometimes I feel like I'm just, I'm just living my life and just sharing it with everybody else. And then some days I have moments of profoundness, and some days I have absolutely no idea what I'm saying. It just comes out.
But at the end of the day, what you really have at its core is commitment.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And accountability. And, I know that we at our Platinum Inner Circle are very, very fortunate to have you as part of our community, but the whole crew, Bajal and Yvonne and myself and Bruce and Justin and Ryan and the team of Maureen and Christine and all of the people that are the other community members are all cheering you on from the sidelines and watching this extraordinary journey that you are on.
Yeah, this is a journey I never thought I would be on. It's amazing how life just hands you things and you just got to grab it by the horns and just go with it.
Yeah. And so Helen, I'm just curious because, I think there are lots of people on here that we all know you're in sparkles and you've got a dog and you're jumping around and bouncing around the countryside. What has been the biggest adjustment for you from let's call it a permanent residence, if you will, to a mobile adventure machine?
I think the biggest adjustment I had was learning to drive the RV. But then once I got behind the wheel of it, it was actually easier to drive than Brad's Yukon, surprisingly enough. Yeah, it shocked me. It doesn't have the tight turning radius that Brad's Yukon did, but when you're up there and you're overlooking everything and the only thing that blocks you is trucks and other RVs, you've got a clear view along the road and everything else. But one of the biggest growing up, we went camping a lot in caravans, which you guys call the tow trailers. And so it was 5 of us in an 18-foot long caravan.
By the way, you can stop saying you guys, you're one of us. And I think it's all because it might just stem from we all want to be Kiwis as well. So we will, as Americans, if you'll let us, you're just an honorary 100%.
Well, I've been a U.S. citizen since August of 2005, so.
Yeah, so you don't get to say you guys anymore.
I guess I got to change it to you all now, do I?
Exactly. Well, we can sit out on that porch outside. I'm not sure what it's called, but it's a porch where you sit out.
All right, you mean the
No, the Kiwis.
So growing up and doing vacations in a caravan or a tow trailer, 18 feet long, there was 5 of us in there. And so moving into the RV, it wasn't much different from being in one of those, except for the fact that this one had a bathroom and it has got an oven and a full refrigerator and freezer and a steering wheel. So there was that little adjustment, but it's also learning about how to maintain an RV as well. So that's the biggest learning curve, is that there's certain things you got to do before you get on the road. There's a routine for packing the RV up so you can drive it. So that's been a bit of an adjustment, learning that, but just take it every day as it comes. And every day brings a new thing.
So I'm going to throw you a curveball here. I did not warn you I was going to throw you a curveball, but
you always throw me curveballs, Casey, because you have pushed me so far out of my comfort zone. I have no idea where it is anymore.
Yeah, but I've wrapped you in a hug blanket. So we've taken you out of the comfort zone, but we've given you a Snuggie.
I like Snuggies.
It's really interesting, Helen, that you were talking about the adjustment that you've been made is maintaining an RV, learning to drive an RV, learning to adjust a little bit to some of the different conditions that might come your way in the RV. Talk to me a little bit about how we could use that metaphor as people running a business. People start a new business, start a new adventure. I think a lot of people aren't willing to get in and just drive it. They aren't willing to get in and learn how to maintain it. They aren't willing to get in and learn how to put gas in it. Sometimes I think they just buy an RV and they're like, or they buy a business and they're like, oh, it's pretty. And then they don't want to actually do the work.
Well, Bajel's going to love this one, because when you're living in an RV and having to maintain everything, you've got to have your systems and processes. Every time you go to to leave a campground, you've got your checklist that you have to go through, and there's certain orders you have to do it in. Because in RVs, you can't turn the engine on until the power's been disconnected, because otherwise you can end up blowing fuses and breakers and things. So it's knowing the order that has to be done is learning that order and process. When you're emptying your tanks, you always dump the black tank first, and then you dump the gray tank. It's the order of the process. So there's all these systems and processes, and each area has its own system and process you've got to go through and checklist, and it's the same in business. Every area of a business, following up with a client, bringing a new client on board, completing a sale, everything has a system and process, and everything in the RV has a system and process on how it gets packed up, how it gets driven, how it gets maintained. So it's if you're committed to doing an RV, you can easily commit to doing a business because it's all system and processes.
And I know you do a lot of networking and a lot of connecting just on the road. I know you've got friends now in pretty much all states, all over the place. You've got
not quite all states. I'm working on it.
And talk to me a little bit about how networking has changed for you, just from a business context. I know that before all of this mess was going on, we could all get together live and stuff, and now it's a little bit more challenging. It seems you're in a different place all the time. Like, talk to me a little bit about, just from a networking and connecting standpoint. Like, I sometimes get jealous of you, and then I go, oh my gosh, but then I would be by myself. That's a lot of time by myself. And that's scary.
It is a lot of time, and I am an outgoing introvert, which means that I like to be by myself to charge my batteries. The problem with all the lockdown and everything else is that I've been by myself way too much. So my batteries are overflowing with energy. So the more I can get around people to burn that excess energy off, the better. So even just walking around campgrounds, at the campgrounds, having Zeffie has been a huge hit, because if I didn't have Zeffie, I would probably literally just live in my RV and not leave until I leave the campground. So she's been the reason that I have to get out, 2 to 3 times a day to go out and walk people. She's also a great conversation starter. She loves going up to people and going hi and wanting to jump up on people. We're still trying to break her of that one. But meeting other dog owners in the dog parks and things like that, you just get out there and you network. Some people you maintain the connection with. Some people it's just sort of like you only see them while you're at that campground. But I've always loved networking. I've always loved meeting new people and everything else. And taking the business and getting to do business online and networking online is huge. And I know I've learned a lot of stuff from you, and it's going to lead me great into the other half of this thing, because I know you have your event networking riches come up. In fact, I'm going to do this right now. I'm going to hide that one. I'm going to change. I get to change the banner thingy. There we go. So we now get to talk about your networking live coming up networking riches live online coming up on August the 8th. And I've learned a lot about networking from books, but then once I met you, and I don't think we've ever actually told the story about how you and I met, did we?
I don't remember how you and I met, actually.
You don't?
This is
okay.
This is called Scary and on the Fly.
All right, let's tell this. I actually got to tell the story this morning. That was like, oh my God, I've never heard that story before. So back in June of 2011, I was invited by a friend of Casey's called Kay Wallace to go to her LinkedIn class. At the time, I thought it was hers. It was years later I found out it was Casey's class, not her, but Kay was the main instructor.
Was that at the Hampton Inn? Was it the
No,
one?
that was at the Beverly Garden.
Oh, that's in the serious Wayback Machine.
I know. And so I go into this room. It's this little conference room off the restaurant. That's where I met Bruce. He was busy setting up video cameras and all the technical stuff that he does. And then this guy pops up from around the corner and comes around and goes, "Hi, I'm Casey Eberhart." And so we start talking. And something inside me said, I have to know this person. It was just something that clicked between us, said, I have to know this person. And so we did the LinkedIn class, and I've never told you this before, but Kay would be talking, all of a sudden Casey would pop up from this little alcove around the corner and go, "Oh, and blah, 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 blah," and he'd go this stuff. And I'm like, who is this jerk that keeps standing up and interrupting Kay's class? But it's sort of like, but hang on, I got to write down what he's saying because it's really good. And then I got to join you and Kay afterwards for lunch, which was awesome. So that was on the Saturday. Fast forward to the Monday, we had the BNI Regional at the Beverly Garden again. I was sponsoring one of the tables, was busy setting up. I turn around, you walked in the door. And I'm like, what are you doing here? And you said, I'm being introduced tonight as a director consultant. And so we continued talking. Tuesday rolls around. I'm at the Duke's in Malibu, which I know is one of your favorite restaurants.
Absolutely.
And I was there with the Wedding and Party Professionals Network group. And I got in there early. I was the first one in the room. I turn around, Casey walks in the door. And
Right.
3 times in 4 days, you think we're supposed to be connected.
That's
And that was how Casey and I met and how we started that, 9 years ago. So it's been a wild ride since then. And the stuff I have learned from you, your friendship with me has meant so much. And I know, oh God, I'm going to get all emotional here.
I'm going to get emotional too. I know where you're
going. I want you to put the mascara on because it's not waterproof. And I know that your advice and your friendship with Brad meant a huge amount to him as well. And I can't thank you enough for that friendship that you had with Brad and how you guided him through some of the tough times he went through and everything else. But you have always been there for us, and we've always appreciated, and we love you dearly. You're not a friend, you're a family. So thank you for that. And that's how we met and how Casey became part of our lives.
It's actually really funny. I remember that event, the wedding show, wedding group, because the girl was like, there's not going to be very many people, and those are all kind of things. I'm still game to play. And then she was like, it's at Duke's at Malibu. I'm like, I'm there. I don't care if it's just me. Because Duke's is one of my favorite restaurants. If you guys are not familiar with Duke's in Malibu,
it's a fantastic location. Right there on the ocean front, and you got the waves come. I remember you and I just stood there for like 2 minutes, about 2 minutes, saying nothing, just watching the water come in and watching it crash over the rocks. It was an incredible moment, and that has always stuck with me. Sorry,
I was just going to say, when I look back over those years, one of the things that I most treasured about our friendship and the ability to have the honor to work with you guys is really watching the relationship that you and Brad have. And obviously when we lost Brad and he transitioned on and he finally learned the secret. I always remember I have certain moments that I can recall of Brad and I having private, secret conversations that I won't even share with you to this day, and you know that.
He never told me about these private, secret conversations. You were the one that told me about how often they happen. I'm like, what?
I actually can remember when we were on, I believe it was the Promote Your Passion cruise with all of us.
Mm-hmm. Liberty of the Seas.
Which was a phenomenal experience. And on that ship, I had a really meaningful and powerful conversation with Brad. And on that very day, it was a really big moment for me, just to understand really who Brad is, what makes him tick, and how that interacts with you and his love and support for you. And it's been awesome. It's been an awesome ride, and I'm sure wherever Brad is right now, he's probably throwing glitter on both of us from somewhere at the moment. And one of the things that I always loved about Brad is that he supported you every time we did a Networking Riches event. And, I know that you and Brad came to the very first Networking Riches we ever did in 2014, I think it was.
May of 2014 or June.
And there's never a Networking Riches that goes by that I don't have a memory from that very, very first one. And I just want you to know that Brad was a significant part of that memory track from that 2 days. So it just was. And Networking Riches is a business event, and look how fast I can transition this from talking about Brad before I get emotional right into an event.
Just remember sitting there when you were promote your the PIC group for the very first time. I'm sitting there going, we need to be part of this. And in my head I'm going, okay, husband, very logical thinker, got to dot the I's, cross the T's. What reasoning can I come up that's going to be very logical for him to follow that we can sign up for this? And the moment you said we're going for a break, he turns and looks at me and says, we're doing this, aren't we? And I'm just like, yeah, Like all my reasonings just went out the window because he got it. That relationship that you had with him was the know, like, and trust factor with him was so powerful that when you announced that group, I didn't have to come up with any reasons because you gave him all the reasons that he needed to make that decision, to be part of that decision.
Well, and for those of you that are watching, PIC stands for Platinum Inner Circle. It's kind of our internal lingo for that. But, Helen, I think the reason why that happened so quickly is simply because what we do at Networking Riches is we really talk about the skill and the art and the science of networking.
Yep.
And if you really think about it, connectivity is today's new currency. The people that are connected are rich and wealthy, and I don't just mean monetary.
Yeah.
But they've got currency to move around, right? But if you really think of like an iceberg, and I'm in Los Angeles, and it's like 7,017 degrees Celsius here today. So I'm in.
We're a little cooler here in Colorado Springs today.
So I'm in iceberg mode. But if you really think about networking and connectivity, it's like an iceberg. What you see above the water is networking. There's about 5% of an iceberg is above the water. 95% of the iceberg is below the water, and that's connectivity.
Mm-hmm.
So in Networking Riches, and the event we're going to do August 8th, the above water part is only 5%. It's networking. It's just the word we use to get to know people and kind of be in front of the right people. It's what happens after the Zoom goes off.
Yep.
Right? We're all running around in today's marketplace. I'm starting to call it the COVID mullet. And that is the COVID mullet is Zoom on top, party on the bottom. Right? Because I don't know about anybody else, but I'm looking like I've got my nice shoes on here, but let's make no bones about it. I've got my house.
Oh, I love those.
I know, aren't these rad?
They're awesome.
So we're gonna do an event. We waived the fee since we're all kind of at home, so there's no cost for you guys to come join. You just go to have2network.com. Tell us where to send your ticket. We're gonna spend all day together from 8:30 a.m. Pacific time to 4:30 Pacific time. We're gonna have a mastermind inside of there, and the reason why it is so cool is because the transformation from when we start in the morning until we complete the event. The transformation of many of you will be massive, massive. And it happens in an instant and you can never take it back. I was just on a webinar right before this and I was saying that, when you really, let's say you want to swim, right? Or I used bike. Well, let's use bike riding. That's a good example. If you want to ride a bike, you could, and you don't know how to ride a bike right now, here's what you could do. You could watch some videos on how to ride a bike. You could read an article on how to ride a bike. You can go to a bike store and talk to somebody about riding a bike. You can stand on the sidewalk and watch people ride a bike. But at the end of the day, until you get your butt on a bike and fall over and skin your knees, you're never gonna ride a bike. But that very first time that you have no training wheels on and you're pushed and you ride for 5 yards, that skill has completely transformed you. You will never be able to unlearn how to ride a bike, and it becomes a part of the fabric of what makes you up. Connecting and networking is no different. There are lots of people that struggle and they don't know who to talk to or what to say or how to even behave or how to talk or even how to talk onto a microphone. They don't know how to get in front of a Zoom and not pick at their bangs. Like, they got all kinds of stuff that we can improve literally like that, right? You're laughing at the pick the bangs, right? You don't understand.
I'm always doing that on my lives.
I'm gonna play a new drinking game. It's gonna be called the Zoom bang picking game. It's every time somebody picks their hair or futzes with their hair.
I was on one the other day. I was on one last week, and people were eating pizza while we were online, and I'm like, oh, it was interesting. It's interesting watching people on Zooms where they forget that they're on camera.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting. I've had numbers of times I've seen up people's noses, down cleavages, more places than you ever want to go, and walking around people's houses. It's very interesting. So now the Networking Riches that's coming up, we're doing this online. Yep. And most of the time when we do it in person, you're talking about going to a networking event in person. So the Networking Riches coming up live online, is this one going to be tailored more towards networking online and how to do it effectively?
we're going to address both. We're going to address live events when we come back to those. It's kind of the same skill set, but we've got some different tactics, if you will, some different strategies that you can use while you're doing Zoom networking. And so we're going to spend some time on that. You guys, you're going to get to know several participants. We'll have over 100 people on there, I'm guessing, by the time it's all said and done. And the mastermind section is worth you coming for no matter what.
That's my favorite part. I love learning because I always pick up new nuggets during the Networking Riches portion. But when we get to that mastermind portion, seeing those light bulbs go off, you're talking about that transformation in a moment. When somebody who is having a real struggle in their business, they finally get it and is watching their face light up or seeing that light bulb go up, to me, that is the most rewarding part of the whole day, is watching those breakthroughs occur.
Because those breakthroughs really transact or show up as more money for your business, or saving you time, right? Yeah. Or cleaning out some of those cobwebs in kind of just stuff that's holding people back.
Yeah.
Right. So this is not an event that's not participation. This is a full engagement participation. We have lots of interaction. You will be on Zoom. Now you can put your camera on off if you want or whatever, but it's going to be a blast. We're going to get to hang out with some amazing business owners from all around the world. We've got people from Canada, Mexico, Australia, already, I think even New Zealand.
Woohoo!
Already registered. And it's really just a collection of folks that are all committed to advancing their skill set and driving their business. And so we're going to talk about things like lifetime value of a customer, how to choose events to go to that are most likely going to result in results. We're going to have an on-purpose, intensive conversation with a plan of attack when you go to these networking events. You know, I'll share this with you. I don't think we've seen anybody from the last event on here, but you know, go watch some of these Zoom networking events and just pay particular attention to how people are showing up. They seem to only really be engaged when it's their turn to talk about their business. And otherwise it's like this and it's off on this. It's like, oh, what's going on here? And oh, who's that picture?
People forget that they're live on camera.
And so we're going to help all of that. And so I hope that you guys will join us. The invitation is here. We've waived the fee, so it's not going to cost you a penny. It's going to really give you your space back and your time back while you're out networking. Actually be profitable, connecting, and really doing it in a way that provides the freedom that you can go enjoy your life and your family with, quite frankly, because that's why you became an entrepreneur or a business owner in the first place.
Absolutely. And I love it that even though we're online, we can still get to do that networking portion, because when we have breaks, you guys are still leaving the cameras on and the microphones on, so we can get in there and we can talk and network that way. Do the private chats as well to exchange contact information to set up times to talk later on. So it's an incredible event, and I think there's only been 2 since 2014 that I've missed. I mean, I even remember being on Networking Riches one time from Brad's hospital room. You know, I'm sitting, he's in bed asleep. I'm sitting there in his hospital room on Networking Riches, and doing that from his bedside. So I remember those ones as well.
It's gonna be awesome. Karen Griffin, I know you're on here. I better see you there. Kathy Baxter, I better see you there. Luis, I know I will. I know you will be there for sure.
And Kathy Baxter wants to know if Casey Kiwi was named after Casey Eberhart. And we can confirm that is true. It all started out when Casey said I had to have a mascot. And this was after I joined the Platinum Inner Circle. And I was like, okay. So we found this Kiwi on Amazon. And I can't get it for you because he's up in the cabinet away from Zeffy, because Zeffy likes his beak. So I put him.
If I remember right, we were originally going to do a shark, but we thought because we were talking about travel on cruises that a shark would probably not be the proper.
Yeah, that's right.
And if I remember right, SHARK actually stood for something.
No, we had Jaws. It was Jaws. We had a shark, we had a hippopotamus, and we had, what was the other one? There was a third one. We had 3 that we took on a river cruise with us at the end of 2011. Yeah, whenever we took it. But we had Jaws, and it was just add water.
It was just add water something.
Yeah, I can't remember what the S stood for. But then you said that if I was going to promote New Zealand a lot, I needed something that represented New Zealand. So we found the Kiwi. I remember putting it in the Facebook group and saying, okay, we now need a name. And you come back and said, no, it's just Kiwi. And I remember telling you, we're not calling it just.
Yeah.
And then Debbie Bloom came back and said, why not call it Casey Kiwi? And she spelt the Casey with a K instead of a C. And that was it. It was done.
That was it.
It was a done deal, just as quick as that.
And just for the record, everybody, I want to just let you know that Casey Kiwi was a really important element in this until a puppy came along. And then I got relegated to a cabinet.
Hey, but you are protected behind glass.
I'm protected in the dark.
I had Casey Kiwi sitting up on the dashboard one day, and I turned around, and there's Zeffie with Casey Kiwi in her mouth, hanging by the beak. And I was like, yeah, no.
Yeah.
But Casey Kiwi will come out every now and again and still do stuff. But for now, it's safely protected in a cabinet with glass so that he can see out and watch everything going on.
Exactly.
But,
well, Helen, it's just awesome. I'm so proud of the business owner that you have become. I'm honored to be a part of this journey alongside you. There's nothing like standing on the sidelines and cheering on somebody as they get to go out and live their true life adventure and create new friendships and create new connections and create new business. It's an absolute honor. And without getting either of us too sappy, at the end of the day, Brad is very, very proud of you.
Thank you. And I can't thank you enough for your friendship over the years. And like I said, you're more than a friend, you're family. And I love you from the bottom of my heart. And you have always, since the moment we met, I knew that you were somebody special that we had to have in our lives. So that day back in June of 2011 was a life-changing moment. And I can't thank you for the love and support you've given us over the years. I mean, through Brad's transition and everything else, and all the ups and the downs and the tears and the laughter and everything else. So thank you. And thank you for so much for coming on today to helping celebrate 366 days of Facebook Lives.
You guys, should I make her do 2 years next? So.
Well, I've already decided. It is so ingrained in me. In fact, there was one night when I went to bed and I suddenly sat up, bolt upright, and went, oh crap. And I'm like talking to myself, and I'm like, I haven't done my live. So I had to quickly get up, throw some clothes on.
Yeah.
Get out of my PJs, put the clothes on, get my Facebook Live done. Just so that, and then I finally got making it, okay, we're good. We can go to sleep now.
Yeah. Oh, and Debbie Bloom just jumped on here. I'm so happy that Debbie got to jump on here. That she said she remembers that day. Debbie is an amazing person as well. It's absolutely. Yes. I get to hang out with the coolest people. Susie Russo's on here. Even awesome, Susie. Gosh,
but thank you so much, Casey, for challenging me for this challenge of 366 days and cheering me on through it, through all the ups, the downs, the tears, the laughter, everything. I mean, I haven't been as vulnerable with everybody on the Zooms as I have been with you in life and all of that, and when we've been connecting and stuff. So thank you from the bottom of my heart for everything that you have done for us. And I know Brad is very appreciative of the friendship that you guys had and the special connection that you guys had as well. So
that's awesome. You guys jump on and register for this event. You'll get to see Helen. I'm going to highlight her in the event. Have to the number network.com.
It's rolling across the bottom of the screen.
And
it is in the description of the video as well.
Awesome.
So again, thank you, Casey. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. This has been a monumental day, 366 days of Facebook Lives. What a fantastic way to sign off from this. So that's it from me for today. We will be back tomorrow morning because I'm still going. Have a super fantastic, sparkling evening. Hei konera.
Bye, guys.